Welcome to the Motivation Without the Hype podcast with your host, Gez Perez. He's an author, high-performance coach, and motivational speaker. This show brings you inspiring messages and interviews to unleash your greatness in life and in business. So let's get started.
Hi everyone, welcome to Motivation Without the Hype podcast show. My name is Gez Perez, a former procrastinator into an action taker. We bring you inspiration messages and interviews, including motivational insights, tips, principles, and proven strategies that you can take action on without the hype in unleashing your greatness in life and in business. Now, we appreciate you plugging in and spending time with us. And we have a very special guest, and I'm super grateful to have him on our show. Now, his name is Sam Jacobs. He is the founder and CEO of Pavilion, a community-powered learning platform for go-to-market leaders and teams. Sam launched a Pavilion as a revenue collective in 2016 and bootstrapped the company to 10 million in ARR before taking on a 25 million growth financing round in early 2021, led by Elephant Ventures and GTM Fund. Prior to Pavilion, Sam spent 15 years as a senior revenue leader at VC-backed companies in the New York area, including Jerusalem Lehrman Group, Axel, Livestream, Vimeo, the Muse, and Behavox. Sam, welcome to the podcast show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm really excited and really privileged to have you on the show. I'm really excited. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, everybody. Well, my name is Sam Jacobs. I'm the founder and CEO of Pavilion. As you mentioned, Pavilion is the leading go-to-market community around the world. We've got 10,000 members all over the world, and we're focused on helping revenue executives, that's heads of sales, marketing, customer success, and CEOs achieve their professional potential, which means do their job better, help their companies grow more effectively. And we really think of ourselves almost like a career co-pilot. We are the community that sits with you as you build, as you thrive, and as you survive and navigate the uncharted territory that we're all in.
Wow, that is amazing. And, you know, looking what you've done and, having that type of experience. Now, you've been in the business for many years and you work with a lot of high-performing businesses. What has been a learning curve for you?
I've learned a lot. I've learned a couple of things that I've learned recently. One of the things I've learned is, none of it's rocket science, to be honest with you. None of it's particularly, you won't hear it anywhere else. But generally speaking, what I've learned is that the first thing you need to start with is why you exist, right? Mark Benioff pioneered this concept of V2MOM, vision, values, mission, objectives, metrics. And the point is, you got to know why you exist. That's the first most important thing. And you have to have a purpose that extends beyond your revenue targets or your financial metrics, but extends beyond that world into, the reason why you exist and why you're of service to the world and to the global community. So that's the first thing I've learned. The second thing I've learned is that, as you grow, there's different skills that are required. There's different skills that are required at a very early stage to help a company get off the launch pad. And there's different skills, again, that are required to help a company navigate scale more effectively. And the job of the CEO, my job as a founder and CEO, is very different today than it was 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I could make many more decisions based on my intuition and based on my knowledge of the customer. And I've done that consistently over the last year. And when I do that, I make mistakes because intuition becomes insufficient. It's not enough. It's necessary, but not sufficient when you get to a certain size and scale. And that's where data comes into play. That's where you have to make decisions based on information about how your customers are using your product, how they're interacting with your product, and what you need to do to fix their engagement with the platform. So those are a few of the things I've learned. I'm happy to talk about more.
Yeah. So why Pavilion? You have a couple of experiences along the way, but, what has been pivotal for you? Like you said, in the last, 2 to 3 years, there's probably a lot of, decision-making along the process. What has been challenging for you, making those decisions and really going and engaging with, you mentioned about intuition, but looking at data and facts and being logical in a way where, okay, well, how do we scale this? Were there any decision-making in the process? Like, how did you thought that through?
Well, I guess the way that we have learned, the way that we've learned to make decisions has evolved, and that's where the right team and having the right team in place becomes critical. Because again, what happens as you go from small to big is that I used to think that it's really important that I had all the answers, and that as long as I woke up every morning and knew what to do, if I knew what to do, we were in good shape. And if I didn't know what to do, then maybe I should sell the company or quit or, shut it down or whatever. And that's fine. But I think it misses the point a little bit. And I think sometimes I miss my own point. So what am I saying? The first thing I'm saying is that as you grow, it's not your job to just know what to do as if it emerges from some secret source of truth deep within the universe, right? Your job as a CEO is to guide the process through which you make decisions and create value for your customers, to guide that process. It's still your job to sort of steer towards a North Star and towards a general direction. But like I said, the days when I woke up feeling like I know what to do, I know what I'm supposed to do, those would be good days. And the days where I would wake up and I wouldn't know what to do, or I wasn't sure about what to do, those would be bad days. And again, like I said, that's not, so what happens when you feel like that? What happens is that you are constantly looking for that feeling of conviction, that feeling of certainty, that feeling that I know what to do today. And you feel like, if I know what to do today, that means the company is going to be successful. And that I realized was not correct. And that it's not my job to know what to do every day. It's not my job to always have like some unguiding. It is my job to be optimistic, but my job actually is to build a process through which the company can discover what to do today and what to do every day. And we need to put a plan together that reflects the information that the market is providing us, and then just reflects it back to the market. So what does that mean? That means it's not my job to be some kind of genius and to figure out exactly what has to happen. My job is to guide us towards a decision-making process that uses data and that uses information in the right direction, so that we can figure out what exactly we need to do. And if we use data and information and are collecting information and feedback from our customers, then it's not about me creating something from some secret well of truth. It's about me just helping the team synthesize that data and saying, in the aggregate, this is what it seems our customers are saying. Let's go do that.
Awesome. And, when you engage with your customers and, having that feedback, obviously you collect those information, including data. Now you're able to, this podcast is all about scaling and how do you scale your business. You've been in the business for quite some time, and, obviously being in a competitive market. You mentioned about, without compromising your values. Now, was that really hard to do, or was it easy to do? Because, having value add and driven by values, in a competitive marketplace, how were you able to scale that?
Well, I think that's the only thing that does scale, to be honest. I think when you stop thinking about how you're going, if you're not being led by your values, you're being led probably by some kind of financial output. And I think that's the thing that your customers sense. And for me, I lead a values-driven organization, right? I lead a global community. And when I'm not thinking, and so what are our values? Our values are give before you get. Our values are build relationships, not transactions. Our values are that we believe in playing a big long game versus a short small game. And our values are that we believe that kindness is a path to business success, not just sort of cutthroat transactionalism. Now, all of that's nice and all of that's great to say, but so the only way that we have grown is when we've embraced those values. And when we are not doing that, we tend to make the wrong decisions. When we're making decisions based solely on financial metrics or financial outcomes, and we're not thinking about our customers and about what they need, that's when growth tends to slow down. So I don't know if that's an answer to your question.
No, and that's good, because it's quite challenging. When you go through business, obviously there are going to be, and challenges are inevitable. You get customer feedback, and, it's all about, consistent and constant improvement along the way. But having that, and then you wanted to scale your business, obviously you are going to, as a business, we're all about, moving from potential right through to profitability. But at the same time, it's like, well, how do I still hone in my values? And as a CEO like yourself, it's like, okay, well, these are the decisions we need to make based on metrics and data, but we got to make sure that we're aligned to those values. And, not many, are partially they compromise their values and the output is quite different. But to hear from your end, based on data and metrics, even those are challenging, you're still able to hone in your values, and hence the reason why you're able to scale where it is today, which is fantastic. Why building, and I mentioned going through some questions and going through what you've been doing, which is fantastic, really inspired about it, is, one of the things I wanted to ask is, why is building a theory of enterprise value? And you mentioned that you're a value-based driven business, which is fantastic, but which is very foundational on the enterprise value. But how do you do that to scale any business?
Sure. Well, there's sort of two separate concepts. When I'm talking about building a theory of enterprise value, that's actually something that we teach, and we teach our members. And what I mean when I say that is not about sort of values in the traditional sense. I'm talking about the phrase enterprise value. And that phrase is really a reflection of what the company is worth. And this is many revenue leaders and many sales leaders, many people that run revenue organizations, they don't have a sufficient understanding of what makes a company worth anything. They don't have a sufficient understanding of the financial details behind how a company creates shareholder value. So the concept of building a theory of enterprise value is one of the things we teach our members. We teach our members that in order to be an effective steward of capital, in order to be a great leader for your organization, you need to understand what makes companies valuable in the first place. And in that case, I'm talking about the dollars and cents. I'm talking about the math of how companies generate value and understanding what makes them profitable, what makes them interesting, and what makes them valuable from an investment perspective. And so that's just a discipline that people need to understand. And that's really part of having, a full and a well-rounded career. Part of having a great career is being multidisciplinary and having an understanding of how what you're doing, whether it's in sales and marketing, whether when it's customer facing, how it relates to value creation for the company. So that's one of the things we teach our members.
Awesome. And what else do you teach your members besides scaling the business, looking at dollar value? What else do you go through the process to ensure that for their successes as well?
Well, we teach them, we call ourselves a career co-pilot. And what that means is we try to teach them how to understand how to build a company, how to, as I said, how to link the theory of business with the reality of their day-to-day job. That's one thing we teach them. We teach them practical skills about how to do their job in sales, marketing, customer success, and as a CEO and founder. Such as how to raise money, how to build a sales team, how to design territories, how to forecast revenue. We also teach them a lot of skills for themselves, for themselves as individuals, how to negotiate, how to drive compensation effectively, how to make sure that if you get fired, you pre-negotiate severance. We teach them how to build a consulting business and how to start their own business so that they can have diversification when it comes to their revenue streams, and when they're in the later stages of their career, when they can figure out how to make money effectively. So we're trying to, again, as I mentioned, career co-pilot means we're trying to teach you all the skills that you're going to need in the modern world in order to be a successful executive.
Wow. And I think that's really key, is to have that real life experiences and having as yourself, guiding through that, because you can learn so many things at the book. You probably go to a, MBA program and you get all the, degrees and certifications, but having real life experience and have a walk through that is actually key. Do you find that more effective, or is it important to have, book smart and street smart, and having like a mentoring and a guidance and a coach to go through what you've just mentioned?
Well, I think the problem with being book smart in the modern... Listen, I'm a huge fan of books. I think everybody should read all the time. And I read probably 40 to 50 books a year. So not as many as some, but I read a lot. But the problem with books is that they're out of date by the time they're printed. And the world is changing more rapidly than the concept of a book can keep up with. And so what people need is they need both. They need some level of exposure to traditional knowledge, but they also need peers. They need people that they can ask for help and ask for assistance from. That's a lot of what people need fundamentally, because the world is changing too rapidly for any book to comprehensively cover a specific subject matter. generative AI became familiar to us within the last 6 months. Nobody used ChatGPT before November. Well, now it's everything that everybody's talking about. Is there a book about generative AI? Sure, there's probably a bunch of books that are coming out. Are they relevant? Probably not, because it's probably going to be different and the author is probably better served by posting on Twitter or LinkedIn than by trying to write a book about it, because the book is not going to be up to date. So at any rate, I think it's a combination of those two factors.
I like that. Having both, but yeah, I never thought of that in terms of you read a book and next thing you know it's already been passed. And as you said, technology is rapidly rising and changing. ChatGPT, coming on board as well. It's just crazy how in the last couple of years, prior to COVID, all these things are happening. In any success in business, whether it's career or your personal life, what are the steps you feel are important to take before scaling or taking it to the next level?
I think the most important step people need to take is to understand what they stand for. I wrote a book called Kind Folks Finish First, and it's available, anywhere books are sold. But one of the big parts of that book is when a coach asked me, what do you stand for? And I'd never really been asked that question in that way before. And I laughed and I said, what do you mean? What do I stand for? I stand for making money. And the coach said, well, that's not enough. You can't stand for making money. Money comes after you create the value, not before. So what is the reason that you exist? And I think before you try to grow or build something new, I think the main thing is you have to understand why you exist. What are you fighting for? Who do you represent? Who are you trying to help? I think, and if you can do that work on yourself as you grow, again, there's lots of tactics about how to grow, but as you grow, I think the fundamental thing is that's what you can rely on. And like I said at the beginning of the show, when I make mistakes, it's because I forget about that stuff. And when I don't make mistakes and when I focus on doing well and doing good, that's when I succeed.
I'm just trying to process that, because hearing that, what you stand for, it's not being asked on a regular basis in terms of you ask, you get different sort of questions that are quite generic, but thinking that through, how did you unpack that? Because you would have thought, what do I stand for? How long did it take to actually go through that process and really unpack it to find out, this is, what I stand for?
It took about a month and a half. And I worked with a coach, and there was a very specific set of value exercises that we went through, and different archetypes, and eventually, what gave me energy, what kind of person was I, what attributes, and I went through and I would circle. It was this whole elaborate exercise. And at the end of it, we distilled it all down to one statement. And that statement is, I stand for helping people I care about and respect achieve their professional goals. That's what I stand for. And that's what Pavilion does, like that mission statement. And it is, every word is intentional. It's not just people I care about. There's a certain level of agency and control and responsibility that you have to take for your own life. And I stand for people that take responsibility for their own life, which is where the respect part comes in, right? I stand for helping people that want to help themselves. And if those people want to help themselves, and they, so meaning work ethic, and they have compassion, meaning even in the wake of all of life's injustices and tragedies and shortcomings, they still retain optimism and hope, both for humankind, but also for life itself and for other living beings, and for the idea of an interconnected universe. The people that combine work ethic with that sense of compassion, those are the people that I want to help and support.
Wow, that is amazing. Wow, Sam, you are one of a kind. And it really exuberates in what you're saying, and I truly believe that you're all about the care, adding value, and it speaks for itself as to why you are today. So I always ask this question to every guest that's on the podcast show: what is your meaning of motivation without the hype, and how to use motivation for your personal success?
Well, it's closely connected to your last question because, motivation without the hype means what is the thing that gives you energy within yourself? And so first thing, you got to spend some time thinking about the answer to that question for yourself. What is the thing that gives you energy? What is the thing that drives you? And again, for me, I'm relating hype to money and, material success and stuff. And when I think about that, I tend not to do as well. And when I think about orienting myself towards helping other people and providing support and care and assistance, that's when I tend to get the things that I want, like stuff and money and all of that. So for me, motivation without the hype is, what is the thing that brings you energy, even if you weren't going to be paid for it? And for me, that's helping other people achieve their goals.
Mic drop. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. That was amazing. It's such a privilege to have you on the podcast show. Guys, for more information and how you can get in touch with Sam, look at our show notes. It's on the provided links. Please be sure to connect with him and follow him. What he does and what he does for his clients and customers is phenomenal. So please make sure, scroll down, click those links, and please be sure to connect with him. If this episode has been helpful and uplifting, we would love for you to write a review to inspire more listeners to get plugged in. We will continue to provide high value content in each and every episode. If you don't mind sharing this podcast show on social media by inviting others, it would mean the world to me. Every time you tag me or tag us, we will get the opportunity to share those posts, and together we can make a difference in the lives of others through inspiration episodes just like this. So there you have it. In closing, continue to unleash your greatness and tell yourself that I can, I will, and I must, and we'll see you on the next episode.